Zara Kingston did not cry when she read the email. She felt something worse. She felt nothing. The hospital cafeteria was loud around her. Doctors were laughing near the coffee machine. Nurses were complaining about double shifts. A television on the wall played the afternoon news. Life moved on like nothing had happened. But on Zara's phone screen were the words that ended everything she had worked for. Immediate termination. Effective 2:47 p.m. No meeting. No warning. No explanation in person. Just an email. Her badge had already been deactivated. 20 minutes earlier, she had pushed epinephrine into a 6-year-old boy whose throat was closing. His lips had turned blue. His small body had gone still. Dr. Richard Peaton had stood beside her, arguing with the legal department about liability because the child had a mild heart condition. Zara had not waited, she had acted. The boy was alive. And she was fired. She read the email again, hoping the words would change. They did not. Gross insubordination. Violation of medical hierarchy. Creating hostile work environment. Hostile, because she refused to let a child die. Her hands felt cold, her chest felt hollow. At 26, she had been one of the youngest pediatric trauma nurse practitioners at Mercy General. She had worked through sleepless nights, unpaid internships, and crushing student loans to earn that badge. And now it was gone. She stood up slowly. No one noticed. She walked to the staff door and pressed her badge to the scanner. Red light. Denied. Security guard Martinez looked at her with confusion. He checked his screen. His face changed. "Zara," he said softly. "I know," she replied. He buzzed her out without another word. She did not say goodbye to anyone. She walked past the emergency room where she had saved dozens of lives. Past the trauma bay, where Tommy Chen was breathing because she refused to hesitate. No one stopped her. No one defended her. She got into her old Honda and drove home in silence. 2 hours later, Zara sat on the small balcony of her third-floor apartment in Koreatown. She was still wearing her blue scrubs. The afternoon sun was warm, but she felt cold inside. Below her, children were playing in the courtyard. A couple argued near a parked car. Someone grilled meat on a small charcoal stove. Life continued. Her phone buzzed. Maya, her best friend from nursing school. "Zara, what happened?" Maya asked the moment she answered. "The whole nurse group is talking about it." "Peyton happened," Zara said flatly. She explained in a tired voice. "The allergic reaction. The boy turning blue. The doctor waiting for legal approval. Her decision." "You saved him," Maya said. "And they fired you for that?" "By email," Zara replied. "They did not even have the courage to look at me." "That's wrong." "It's done," Zara said. "I'm unemployed. Rent is due next week. Student loans don't care about hospital politics." There was a pause. Then Zara heard it. A sound in the distance. Low, heavy, growing louder. Thwop, thwop, thwop. She stood up slowly. "Maya, hold on." The sky above the apartment complex was clear and blue, except for 6 black helicopters descending fast, not flying past, landing. Right into the parking lot. Dust exploded into the air. Car alarms screamed. Children cried. Parents grabbed their kids and ran inside. The entire building shook. "What is happening?" Maya shouted through the phone. "I don't know," Zara whispered. The helicopters landed in formation. Matte black. No markings. Doors slid open. Men in black tactical gear jumped out. Armed, organized, focused. One of them looked up directly at her balcony. He pointed. 3 men ran toward her building entrance. Zara's heart began to pound. "Maya, I have to go." Her apartment door burst open, not broken, opened with force and authority. 3 men stood in her doorway, dressed in black, earpieces in place. Weapons lowered but ready. The one in front was tall. Korean. Late 20s. Sharp eyes. "Zara Kingston?" he asked. Her throat felt dry. She nodded. "We need you to come with us. Now." "What?" Her voice barely came out. "Who are you?" "There is a 7-year-old girl dying," he said urgently. "Severe airway compromise." The best surgeons in the city cannot stabilize her. We were told, you are the only pediatric airway specialist who can. Quote. Zara blinked. I was just fired for that, she said weakly. We do not care about hospital politics, he replied. We care about saving her. Another man stepped forward with a tablet showing a scan of a swollen airway. Zara's clinical brain switched on instantly. Severe swelling. Tracheal compression. She felt the fear disappear, replaced by focus. She needs a surgical airway, Zara said. Can you do it? The man asked. She met his eyes. Yes. Then move. They rushed her down the stairs. The parking lot looked like a war zone. 6 helicopters, armed guards forming a perimeter. People filmed from windows. Zara felt like she was inside someone else's nightmare. They pulled her into the largest helicopter. As soon as the door shut, it lifted into the sky. Inside, the man handed her a headset. The girl's name is Junho Kang, he said. 7 years old. Severe allergic reaction combined with neck trauma. Oxygen dropping fast. Who is her father? Zara asked. The man hesitated. Junho Kang. The name meant nothing to her, but the way the man said it did. Power. Danger. Desperation. The helicopter did not land at a hospital. It landed on the roof of a sleek private building downtown, surrounded by more armed guards. They rushed her through glass doors into a state-of-the-art operating room. On the table lay a small girl, pale, lips blue, monitor screaming. Beside her stood a man in a dark suit, sleeves rolled up, eyes burning with controlled panic. When Zara entered, he looked at her. For 1 second, the room felt silent. His gaze was sharp, intense, dark. Can you save her? He asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were breaking. Zara stepped to the table. Yes, she said. And for the first time since she was fired, she felt powerful again. Behind her, the man did not look away. Junho Kang watched her like his entire world depended on her hands. Because it did. The room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Machines beeped in sharp, uneven rhythms. The small body on the operating table looked too fragile for this much chaos. Junho Kang's chest moved weakly under the oxygen mask. Her neck was swollen, red, distorted from trauma and allergic reaction. Zara stepped closer, blocking out everything else. Oxygen saturation? She asked. 72% and dropping, Dr. Park replied, sweat shining on his forehead. Zara studied the child's neck. The landmarks were almost invisible. Swelling had buried the delicate structure she needed to find. Behind her, Junho Kang stood still. He was not shouting. He was not panicking. But the silence around him felt heavy, dangerous. Talk to me, he said quietly. The airway is almost closed. Zara answered without looking at him. I cannot intubate normally. I have to create a new airway through her neck. Do it. No hesitation, no debate, just trust. Zara held out her hand. Scalpel. The metal handle touched her palm, cold, familiar. Her hands did not shake. She made the first incision. Blood surfaced immediately, dark and fast. Suction, she ordered. Dr. Park moved quickly, clearing her view. The swelling made everything look wrong. She could not see the membrane clearly. She had to feel for it. The monitor screamed again. 68%. Junho's voice tightened. Is she losing oxygen? Yes, Zara said honestly, but I am close. Her fingers pressed gently into the tissue, searching for the firm ridge beneath the swelling. Come on, then she felt it. A thin line of resistance under her fingertips. I have it, she whispered. Without hesitation, she made the small horizontal cut. More blood. Tube, she said. The pediatric tracheostomy tube was placed into her hand. This was the moment that mattered. Too much force would destroy the airway. Too little would fail. She twisted gently, guiding the tube forward. There was resistance. Then, a soft give. It slipped into place. Bag her! The nurse squeezed the ambu bag. Nothing. No chest rise, Dr. Park said. Zara did not panic. Blockage, she muttered. Suction catheter. She threaded it down through the tube, applied suction, and pulled back. A thick clot of blood and mucus came free. Again. The bag squeezed. This time, Minji's chest rose. Beautiful, symmetrical. The monitor numbers climbed. 75, 85, 94, 98. The screaming alarm softened into steady beeps. Color returned to the little girl's lips. Zara secured the tube with steady hands. Only when it was done did her fingers begin to tremble. "She's stable," she said quietly. The room exhaled. Behind her she heard a broken sound. She turned. Junho Kang stood with his hand covering his mouth. His eyes were shining. Not weak, not soft, just overwhelmed. He stepped forward slowly. "You saved her," he said. Zara nodded, suddenly exhausted. "She will need monitoring and possibly reconstructive surgery later, but she will live." For a moment, he just looked at his daughter breathing. Then he looked at Zara like she had given him back his soul. He crossed the distance between them in 2 steps and pulled her into a tight embrace. Zara froze. His arms were strong, protective, warm. "Thank you," he whispered against her hair. His voice was rough now. She had never been held like that before. Not like she was something precious. 30 minutes later, Zara sat in a private office with a cup of tea in her hands. Her scrubs were stained with blood. Her body felt heavy. The door opened. Junho walked in. Behind him came an elderly Korean couple. The woman rushed forward immediately and took Zara's hands. "You saved my great-granddaughter," she said in accented English. "You are brave, girl." Before Zara could react, the woman hugged her tightly. "This is my grandmother, Nana Kim," Junho said softly. "And my grandfather, Papa Sun." Papa Sun studied Zara carefully. "She is young," he said in Korean. Junho translated calmly. "He says you are young." "I am 26, Zara replied, "but I am qualified." Papa Sun's eyebrows lifted slightly. Nana Kim squeezed Zara's hand. "Young, but strong. Good heart." Junho leaned against the desk, watching her. "You were fired today," he said quietly. Zara let out a slow breath. "Yes." "For saving a child." "Yes." His eyes darkened. "They fired you by email," he added. She looked up sharply. "How do you know that?" "I make it my business to know everything about people who matter," he said. The way he said matter made her chest tighten. "You matter now." Nana Kim nodded firmly. "Family." Zara blinked. "Family?" "You saved our blood," Nana Kim said simply. "That makes you ours." Zara did not know what to say. Junho's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his expression changed instantly. Cold. "What is it?" Zara asked. He turned the phone toward her. A news article. Mercy General Hospital released a public statement. It claimed Zara had been terminated due to behavioral concerns. It suggested she may have been unstable. It implied she had been taken against her will. Her stomach dropped. "He's lying," she whispered. Dr. Peaton's face stared back at her from the article. He was protecting himself, destroying her reputation before she could speak. Junho's jaw tightened. "No one lies about someone under my protection," he said. Protection. The words settled over her like something dangerous and comforting at the same time. "You cannot just threaten a hospital," Zara said carefully. Junho's lips curved slightly. "I do not threaten," he said. "I persuade." Papa Sun spoke sharply in Korean. Junho nodded once. "My grandfather agrees," he said calmly. "Dr. Peaton needs to learn respect." Zara felt her heart begin to race again. Not fear, something else. "You are going after him," she said. Junho stepped closer. "I am correcting an injustice," he replied. The way he looked at her made her feel safe and terrified, because powerful men did not do things halfway. "You saved my daughter," he continued. "I will not allow anyone to stain your name." For the first time that day, Zara felt something warm spread through the emptiness inside her. She had lost her job. But she had gained something else. A man who looked at her like she was worth fighting for. And in his eyes, she saw a promise. Dr. Peaton had made a mistake. He had humiliated the wrong woman. And now he was about to face the wrong man. The next morning, Mercy General Hospital looked normal from the outside. Inside, it was not. 6 black SUVs were parked in the executive lot. Men in dark suits stood beside them, calm and still. Hospital security watched from a distance, unsure and nervous. At exactly 7 in the morning drive, Richard Peyton walked through the executive entrance with his usual confident stride. He stopped when he saw the cars. His smile faded. Inside the lobby, more men waited. One stepped forward. "Dr. Peyton," he said politely, "Mr. Kang is waiting for you in the boardroom." Peyton's face paled. "I don't know any Kang," he replied quickly. "You tried to board his helicopter yesterday," the man said calmly. "You know him." 2 men stepped to Peyton's sides. They did not touch him, but the message was clear. He was not leaving. Inside the executive boardroom, Junho Kang sat at the head of the long, polished table like he owned the building. He did not raise his voice. He did not look angry. He looked controlled. Which was worse? "Sit," Junho said. Peyton hesitated. Junho's eyes lifted slowly to meet his. Peyton sat. "You fired Zara Kingston yesterday," Junho began quietly, "by email, for saving a child's life." Peyton swallowed. "She violated protocol." Junho nodded slightly. "And then you told the media she was unstable, that she may have been coerced. You tried to destroy her reputation before she could defend herself." "That is my professional assessment," Peyton said, trying to steady his voice. Junho gestured to the man beside him. A laptop was turned toward Peyton. Security footage filled the screen. The trauma bay from the previous morning. Tommy Chen turning blue, Peyton on his phone. His own voice played through the speakers. "I need legal to confirm liability before I authorize epinephrine." Then the image of Zara pushing past him, grabbing the medication, saving the boy. Peyton's breathing became shallow. "You hesitated," Junho said calmly. "She did not." Another file appeared on the screen. Financial documents, payments, consulting fees from pharmaceutical companies, private accounts. Peyton's hands began to shake. "This is illegal," he whispered. Junho leaned back in his chair. "Everything here was obtained legally," he said. "Public records, whistleblowers, cooperation from very motivated people." Peyton stared at the screen. "What do you want?" Junho's voice remained smooth. "2 things." He stood slowly. "First, you will hold a press conference. Today. You will publicly state that Zara Kingston acted heroically. You will admit her termination was unjust. You will apologize." Peyton opened his mouth. Junho continued. "Second, you will resign. Immediately. And you will surrender your medical license voluntarily." Silence filled the room. "If you refuse," Junho added softly, "this footage and these financial records will be sent to every news outlet in California. You will not only lose your job, you will lose everything." Peyton's shoulders collapsed. "When?" he asked quietly. 1 hour. By 10 in the morning, reporters crowded the hospital entrance. Cameras flashed. Microphones pushed forward. Zara stood in the back of the crowd, wearing simple jeans and a black blouse. Her heart beat fast in her chest. Beside her stood Junho, calm, steady, a wall of protection. Dr. Peyton stepped up to the podium. He looked different, smaller. He cleared his throat. "Yesterday, I made statements regarding former employee Zara Kingston," he began. "Those statements were incorrect." Quote. Murmurs spread through the crowd. "Miss Kingston acted appropriately and heroically in a medical emergency. Her termination was a mistake. I apologize publicly for any harm to her reputation." The cameras flashed wildly. "I have submitted my resignation effective immediately!" Gasps filled the air. Zara felt dizzy. It was happening. He stepped away from the podium without answering questions. A reporter suddenly pointed. "There she is!" Cameras swung toward Zara. "Miss Kingston, how do you feel? Did you really save 2 children in 1 day? Who sent the helicopters?" Her breath caught. Before she could speak, Junho stepped slightly in front of her. "She has no comment," he said firmly. "She is a medical professional, not a spectacle." His voice was calm, But the crowd went quiet. Security moved quickly, creating space. They guided Zara into one of the SUVs. Inside the car, silence wrapped around them. "He resigned," Zara whispered. "Yes," Junho replied. "You destroyed him." Junho looked at her gently. "He destroyed himself," he said. "I only showed the truth." Quote. Zara turned to look out the window as the hospital faded behind them. 24 hours ago, she had been fired and humiliated. Now the man who tried to ruin her career was gone. Her phone buzzed. Messages poured in. Support, praise, job offers. But none of them mattered. Because the man beside her had done something no one else had. He had believed her. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. Junho looked at her. "I did," he replied. "Why?" He held her gaze for a long moment. "Because you are under my protection now." The words should have frightened her. Instead, they made her feel safe in a way she did not understand. As the car drove through downtown, Zara realized something deeper. This was not just about justice. This was about loyalty. And in Junho Kang's world, loyalty meant everything. She had saved his daughter. And now he was saving her. But as she looked at his profile, sharp and unreadable, she understood something else. Power like his came with enemies. And by standing beside him, she had stepped into a world far darker than hospital politics. Her life had changed the moment those helicopters landed. She just did not know how dangerous that change would become. 3 weeks later, Zara stood in the center of a medical facility that did not feel real. Glass walls, advanced equipment, private security at every entrance. Her name was printed on the door in clean silver letters. Dr. Zara Kingston, Chief Medical Officer. She stared at it for a long moment. 3 weeks ago, she had walked out of Mercy General with her badge deactivated. Now she ran 3 private facilities across Los Angeles. Junho had kept his word. Full autonomy, no interference, no politics, only medicine. She moved through the hallway as staff greeted her with respect. Not fear, not doubt, respect. Inside one of the rooms, Minji sat on the exam table, swinging her legs, a small bandage still visible on her neck, where the surgical airway had saved her life. "You're late," Minji said with a playful smile. "I had patience," Zara replied, smiling back. Junho stood near the window watching them. He wore a dark suit, sleeves rolled slightly, eyes softer than the first day she had seen him. Minji hopped down and hugged Zara tightly. "Daddy says I can go back to school next week." "That's amazing," Zara said, checking her breathing gently. "No running yet." Minji made a face. "You sound like Daddy." Junho stepped closer. "She listens to you more than me," he said quietly. Zara laughed softly. "Because I saved her life," she teased. Junho's expression changed slightly. Serious, grateful. "You did more than that," he said. For a second, the air between them felt heavy again, not uncomfortable, just intense. Later that evening, Zara arrived at the Kang family mansion for Sunday dinner. The house was warm and alive with noise. Nana Kim was in the kitchen giving instructions. Papa Sun sat in the living room reading a newspaper, but clearly listening to everything. When Zara walked in, Nana Kim immediately hugged her. "You are too thin," she declared. "You work too much." Papa Sun lowered his newspaper. "She works like Kang," he said in Korean. "That is dangerous." Quote. Zara smiled. "I understood that." Papa Sun raised an eyebrow. "You are learning." Minji ran down the stairs. "Daddy told Uncle Taemin, you are very pretty," she announced loudly. Junho froze mid-step. "Minji," he warned. Zara felt her face heat. Nana Kim laughed loudly. "Smart child. She hears everything." Papa Sun folded his newspaper with a slow nod. "Truth should not be hidden," he said calmly. Junho sighed, but there was no real anger in his eyes, only embarrassment. And something else. Dinner was loud and warm. Food filled the table. Laughter echoed through the house. For the first time in her life, Zara felt like she belonged somewhere outside a hospital. After dinner, Junho stepped outside onto the balcony overlooking the city. "Walk with me," he said softly. She followed him. The city lights stretched beneath them like stars on the ground. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Junho turned to her. "When you first walked into that operating room," he said quietly, "I was ready to burn the world if she died." Zara swallowed. "I would have done anything," he continued. "And you were calm. You did not fear me." "I was focused," she admitted. "You still do not fear me." She looked at him honestly. "Should I?" His lips curved slightly. "Most people do." "You are dangerous," she said, "but not to me." His eyes darkened at that. "I have enemies," he said plainly. "Power creates them. Being close to me is not safe." Zara felt her heartbeat quicken. "Are you warning me?" "I am being honest," he replied. "You deserve honesty." She stepped closer. "I grew up with nothing," she said quietly. "I worked twice as hard for everything I earned. I am not afraid of powerful men." He looked at her like she had just said something impossible. "You walked into chaos and saved my daughter," he murmured. "You walked into my life without hesitation. 6 helicopters made that difficult to ignore," she replied softly. He smiled. Then his hand reached up slowly, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. The touch was gentle. Careful, like she might disappear. "Zara." He said her name like it meant something sacred. Before she could answer, his phone vibrated. His expression changed instantly. Cold. Controlled. He stepped aside to answer. She watched the shift happen in seconds. The warm father. The soft grandson. Gone. Now he was something else. "Yes," he said into the phone. "Handle it." He ended the call and looked at her. "There was an incident at one of the warehouses," he said calmly. "It is under control." Warehouse. Incident. Under control. Zara understood without asking. This was the world he lived in. Not hospitals. Not boardrooms. The underworld. She felt a chill run through her. "Does it ever end?" she asked quietly. "No," he replied honestly. "Does it scare you?" "No." She studied him. "But losing her scares you," she said. "Yes." "And losing you?" she asked before she could stop herself. The question hung in the air between them. Junho stepped closer. "That would destroy me," he said softly. Her breath caught. The city lights flickered behind him. In that moment, she realized something terrifying. She was falling for him. Not the power, not the protection. Him. The father who knelt beside his daughter's bed. The grandson who let his grandmother scold him. The man who destroyed her enemy without asking for anything in return. But loving a man like him meant stepping into darkness willingly. And once you stepped in, there was no stepping out. Inside the house, Minji's laughter echoed again. Zara looked back at the warm lights through the window, then back at him. "Your world is dangerous," she said. "Yes." "But so am I," she replied quietly. For the first time, he looked surprised. Then he smiled slowly. That was the moment something shifted. Not employer and employee, not savior and protected. Something deeper, something neither of them could undo. And somewhere, in the shadows of Los Angeles, enemies were already watching. Watching the woman who had captured the attention of Junho Kang. Watching the nurse who was no longer just a nurse. Watching her become something much more. They would not stay quiet for long. The warning came at midnight. Zara was still at the main facility finishing paperwork when the lights flickered once. Then, twice. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She ignored it. It rang again, she answered. A distorted male voice spoke softly. "You should not stand next to men like Junho Kang." Her stomach tightened. "Who is this?" she asked. A low chuckle. "You saved his daughter. That made you visible. Visible people get hurt." The call ended. For a moment, Zara stood still in the quiet office. Her heart pounded, but her mind stayed clear. She dialed Junho. He answered on the first ring. What happened? He already knew something was wrong. I got a call, she said calmly. A threat. Silence. Then his voice changed. Cold. Stay where you are, I am coming. Within 10 minutes, black SUVs surrounded the building. Security filled the halls. Junho walked into her office like a storm held inside a man. Repeat exactly what they said, he ordered. She did. His jaw tightened. They will not touch you, he said. You cannot promise that, she replied. He stepped closer. Yes, I can. She saw something dangerous in his eyes, not anger, ownership, protection. Junho, she said softly, I do not want blood because of me. There is already blood in my world, he replied. You did not create it. He looked at her like he was memorizing her face. I should have known they would move when they saw you beside me. So this is my fault? She asked quietly. His expression shifted immediately. No, he said firmly. It is mine. The next morning, the message came in a different way. One of the smaller clinics had been vandalized overnight. Windows shattered, spray paint across the walls. A single word written in red. Leave. Zara stood in front of the damage, her chest tight. Patients were being redirected. Staff were shaken. Junho stood beside her, silent. I will fix this, he said. It is not about the building, she replied. It is about the message. He turned to her. You are not leaving. It was not a question. She looked at him. Do you want me to? His answer came without hesitation. No. Then I am not leaving, she said. His eyes searched her face. You understand what that means? Yes. It meant danger. It meant enemies. It meant living under protection. But it also meant loyalty. That night, Junho gathered his men in a private room. Zara did not hear the details. She did not need to. By morning, the city was quiet again. Too quiet. No more calls. No more warnings. Whatever had threatened her had been handled. When she walked into the mansion that evening, Minji ran to her as usual. Nana Kim hugged her. Papa Sun nodded with quiet approval. Normal. Warm. Safe. Junho met her eyes across the room. There was a darkness there, but also relief. Later, outside on the balcony, she faced him. You dealt with it, she said. Yes. How? He did not answer directly. They will not come near you again. She studied him. Did someone get hurt? His silence was the answer. Zara closed her eyes briefly. This is your world, she whispered. Yes. And I am in it now. He stepped closer. I never wanted to pull you into it. You did not, she said. I walked in. He touched her face gently. You are too good for this life. She shook her head. I am strong enough for it. Quote. His forehead rested against hers. You should be with someone safe, a doctor, a normal man. She almost laughed. A normal man would have let me drown when the hospital fired me, she said softly. A normal man would not have flown 6 helicopters to find me. His lips brushed her temple. I would do it again. I know. There was no fear in her now, only clarity. I choose you, she said. The words settled heavily between them. He looked at her like she had just given him something priceless. You choose all of it? He asked quietly. Yes. He kissed her slowly, not rushed, not desperate. Certain. Inside, Minji pressed her face to the glass window. They are kissing again, she shouted. Nana Kim laughed loudly. Papa Sun grunted in satisfaction. Months passed. The clinics expanded. Security increased. But life continued. Zara created a foundation for underserved families, scholarships for young nurses, legal support for medical workers facing retaliation. Her name became known not for scandal, but for strength. 1 year after the helicopters landed, she stood beside Junho at the opening ceremony of her foundation. Reporters asked questions. Cameras flashed. A journalist called out, "A year ago you were fired. What changed?" Zara smiled. I did not change, she said. The people around me did. She glanced at Junho. He squeezed her hand. And sometimes, she added, the worst day of your life is the day that leads you to where you truly belong. That night, back at the mansion, the city lights glowed below them. She leaned against his chest. You know, she said softly, being fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. He smiled against her hair. And sending 6 helicopters was the best decision I ever made. She turned to look at him. You were looking for a nurse. I found my future, he replied. In the distance, sirens echoed faintly through the city. Los Angeles never truly slept. Neither did the underworld. But inside the Kang mansion, there was warmth, family, loyalty, love built from chaos. Sarah Kingston had lost everything in one email and gained an empire, a purpose, and a man who would burn the world before letting her fall. 6 helicopters had landed demanding, where is she? Now everyone knew she was exactly where she belonged.